Hello everyone, in this video I will explain about deepagents-sandbox. First of all, I will explain what exactly is deepagents-sandbox, what problems it solves, and then I will give a quick walkthrough of the code base and then a quick demo. So first question is, what exactly is deepagents-sandbox? So deepagents-sandbox is a Python library for creating a native isolated sandbox inside deepagents. The second question is, what exactly is the problem and how it solves it. So the problem is that in langchain or in deepagents you cannot create an isolated environment natively. Either you create a workspace which is not isolated at all inside deepagents, or you pay third party for creating isolated environments. So deepagents-sandbox actually solves that. It creates isolated environment with bubblewrap and cgroup inside deepagents. So that's suppose this is in a quick diagram for explaining about deepagents-sandbox. So this is it. Suppose this is an LLM, and this is your runtime which is inside the Docker. So you have installed all kinds of library like NumPy, Pandas, PyTorch, PyTest, Power, anything. And you also have harness files like skills or suppose design.markdown files. And now the LLM wants to do some operations like create a PDF or something like that. So in deepagents you can use a third party for doing so, but with deepagents-sandbox you can actually create a native sandbox environment. So that directory, or it will create a directory or a repo named workspace, and which will be isolated, and after it's done it will automatically deleted. So how exactly it works? So it uses bubblewrap, which is also used by Codex for isolating environments. So bubblewrap is a simple Linux kernel primitives which is used for creating isolated environments using namespaces. So these are the 5 flags which I'm using with bubblewrap for isolating it. It stops certain things like fork bombs or some illegal operations like accessing important files. And I'm giving a file system view to it for so that it can actually read the Python files or Python libraries. And also I'm giving a writable file which is inside workspace and temp. So this network is by default off. You can actually switch it on by giving this flag as true. And the second thing which I'm using is cgroups. Most of you are aware of cgroups. Cgroups are used for stopping a certain process or giving a limited resources to a certain process. In this I've used only 3 flags with cgroups. For one is for memory limits and CPU shares, second is CPU shares, and the third is for PID. So this is it. This is actually the whole walkthrough of how exactly it will be done. So LLMs will execute a command, and native sandbox cycle will actually create an isolated environment using bubblewrap and cgroup. And whatever be the operations like read and write and creating something can be done via this. So this is actually end-to-end example how it will be done. Now I will give a quick walkthrough of the code base. The code is actually very simple to use. You have to just give the configuration, and you can pass it as a parameter. It's very simple to use. Now I will go through the tests which I've included so that it can actually be implemented inside deepagents without any worries. So I've included all kinds of unit testing and integration testing, and some adversarial tests. So now I'll explain about every tests. Now going to the tests, I've included all kinds of testings like unit testing, integration testing, and adversarial testings. So in unit testing I've included, I think I have included almost all kinds of tests. This includes for the C group tests, or for flag validation tests, for bubblewrap, for C groups, and of course for Linux. And inside integration testings I have included networks, file system isolations, and in adversarial test I've included things like fork bombs, C group limits, network escapes, or privilege escalations. So you can actually go through all of this. It's actually very simple to understand this. The code is actually very simple, and I took help from, of course, from AI to write this test case. I think it has included almost all the test cases which are required. So now I think I've given enough explanations about everything. Now I will give a quick demo of this in working. So I'm using a Minimax. You can use whatever model you want. Suppose I tell him to create a HTML file with hello. So create a HTML file with hello as content, and use background as yellow. So I've given the instruction. It has started doing all kinds of tools. So it has already created, so it's very fast. Okay, so this is created. You can actually view the code. So this is also persistent. So now if I now change the background to, so let's say pink, since the workspace is persistent, so it can actually do a lot of operations for whatever the time limit you have given. Suppose I have given 5 minutes, so for 5 minutes it will be persistent. And after that you can, if you want the objects to persist, you can actually snapshot and store it somewhere and retrieve it when the user wants. So now it has created another. Okay, let me refresh it for. So this is pink now. You can also write all kinds of other operations, like suppose I have included one more thing. Suppose this is a good prompt for testing. Suppose this is a prompt. Okay, so now it will create real HTML file with code, and it will use chart.js from CDNs. So it will take a little bit long. Okay, so it has started doing deep. Okay, it has started to first do the markdown. I think it will write. Yeah, so this is actually he's writing it. It is like skills, the harness. So you can also include all kinds of skills or design markdown files if you really want to do some harness. And since I have already told you that there are some files which are as read only, so if you include those skills files in that those files, it will also be shared among the workspaces. So okay, it is doing bunch of tool calls. So it is creating, see, it is exactly like how ChatGPT does. If you will look closely, the okay, so it has created it. So let me see. Oh, it's very nice. You can see it. It works. And the files, these are the files. So this is actually a perplexity clone which I have created as a test for testing it. You can also try it out by going into this URL. I have also created okay, this is it, the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I have also raised the pull request in the actual deepagents file. If the maintainers see this, please let me know if there is any improvement I have to make in this Python library. And thank you again for watching it to the end. Bye.